Jamaica, an island known around the world for its music, its athletes, its vibes, its culture. But behind the rhythm and the beauty lies a deeper story, one shaped by migration, conquest, resistance, and transformation. A story that begins long before recorded history, before colonization, before slavery, before independence. This is the story of a people who endured everything and still influence the world. This is Jamaica. Chapter 1. The Taino World. Long before European ships appeared on the horizon, Jamaica was inhabited by the Taino, an Arawakan-speaking people who migrated from South America through the Caribbean. They named the island Xaymaca, land of wood and water, a name that reflected the island's rivers, forests, and fertile land. The Taino lived in organized villages ruled by chiefs known as caciques. Society was structured but not oppressive. There were farmers, fishers, artisans, and spiritual leaders. Their diet was rich and sustainable. Cassava was their staple crop, processed carefully to remove toxins. They also grew maize, sweet potatoes, and fruits, while fishing and hunting supplemented their food supply. They built large dugout canoes capable of traveling between islands, showing their advanced understanding of navigation. Spiritually, the Taino believed in Xaymaca, deities or ancestral spirits connected to natural forces. Rituals, ceremonies, and carved figures played an important role in their daily lives. Their homes, called bohayos, were made from natural materials and designed for the tropical climate. This was a balanced society, deeply connected to nature, community, and tradition. But this balance would not last. Chapter 2. The Arrival of Columbus. In 1494, during his second voyage to the Americas, Christopher Columbus arrived in Jamaica. He described the island as one of the most beautiful he had ever seen, but his arrival marked the beginning of a devastating transformation. Spain claimed Jamaica as a colony, even though it lacked the gold resources found in other parts of the Caribbean. Instead, the Spanish focused on using the island for agriculture and cattle farming. To support this, they imposed the encomienda system, forcing the Taino to work under harsh conditions. Initially, relations may have appeared manageable, but exploitation quickly escalated. The Taino were not prepared for the demands of forced labor or the diseases that came with the Europeans. Within a generation, their world began to collapse. Chapter 3. The Fall of the Taino. The destruction of the Taino people was swift and catastrophic. European diseases such as smallpox and influenza spread rapidly among the population, who had no immunity. At the same time, forced labor, malnutrition, and violence weakened their communities. Some resisted. Some fled into the interior of the island. Others took their own lives to escape suffering. By the early 1600s, the Taino population in Jamaica had been almost entirely wiped out. What remained of their culture blended into the developing colonial society. Yet their influence survives, through language, food, and traditions still present in Jamaican life today. Their disappearance marked the end of one era and the beginning of another, far more brutal chapter. Chapter 4. The British Takeover. In 1655, the English launched an invasion of Jamaica and captured the island from Spain. The Spanish fled, leaving behind a small number of enslaved Africans, many of whom escaped into the mountains and would later form Maroon communities. Under British rule, Jamaica became a key part of a growing empire. The island's economy shifted toward sugar production, a crop that required intensive labor and generated enormous profits. Plantations expanded rapidly, and to support this system, the British turned to one of the largest forced migrations in human history. Chapter 5. Slavery and the Sugar Empire. Between the 17th and 19th centuries, hundreds of thousands of Africans were transported to Jamaica through the transatlantic slave trade. They were taken from different regions, cultures, and languages and forced into a system designed to break them. Life on plantations was extremely harsh. Enslaved people worked long hours cutting cane under intense heat. Injuries were common, punishments were severe, families were separated, identities were stripped, freedom was denied. Jamaica became one of the richest sugar colonies in the British Empire, but that wealth came at a devastating human cost. Despite everything, African traditions survived. Music, religion, storytelling, and resistance became tools of survival, and resistance was constant. Chapter 6. The Maroons. Escaped slaves, known as Maroons, established independent communities in Jamaica's mountainous interior. These communities became symbols of resistance and freedom. They developed their own systems of governance, culture, and defense. Using their deep knowledge of the terrain, they launched attacks against British forces and disrupted plantation systems. The British struggled to defeat them. Eventually, treaties were signed, granting the Maroons autonomy in exchange for peace. These agreements made them one of the few groups of formerly enslaved people in the Americas to secure official freedom during that time. Their legacy remains a powerful symbol of resistance and independence. Chapter 7. Emancipation. In 1834, slavery was abolished in the British Empire. However, enslaved people were first placed into an apprenticeship system, which required them to continue working for former masters. This system was met with resistance and was fully ended in 1838. Freedom had finally arrived. But it came with challenges. Land ownership was limited, wages were low, opportunities were scarce. Still, communities began to rebuild. Churches, schools, and villages became centers of development and hope. Chapter 8. Rebellion and Identity. Tensions remained high in post-emancipation Jamaica. In 1865, frustration erupted in the Morant Bay Rebellion. Led by Paul Bogle, protesters demanded justice, land, and rights. The rebellion was suppressed with extreme violence, but it forced Britain to reconsider how Jamaica was governed. It also strengthened a growing sense of identity among the population. Jamaicans were no longer just subjects. They were becoming a people with a shared purpose. Chapter 9. The Road to Independence. The 20th century brought political awakening. Labor movements, protests, and new leadership pushed for change. Figures like Marcus Garvey inspired pride, unity, and self-reliance among people of African descent. Political parties emerged, representing different visions for the country's future. And in 1962, Jamaica achieved independence from Britain. A new chapter had begun. Chapter 10. Culture that changed the world. Jamaica's global impact grew through culture, especially music. Reggae emerged as a powerful voice of the people. It carried messages of resistance, spirituality, and social justice. From small island roots, Jamaican culture spread worldwide, impacting fashion, language, and identity. The island became a cultural powerhouse. Chapter 11. Modern Jamaica. Today, Jamaica continues to influence the world. It is known for excellence in sports, music, and culture. At the same time, it faces modern challenges, economic inequality, crime, and development pressures. Yet the resilience of its people remains strong. Jamaica's history is not just about the past. It is about survival against all odds. It is about transformation through struggle. And it is about a people who turned pain into power. This is Jamaica. From Xaymaca to the world, the story continues.